Hello, everyone, and I am very thrilled and excited today. And today's session is super nostalgic to me for Sonalis Cubo, and I'm the founder, Vayjayanti Pugalia, welcoming you to this conversation with one of my dearest scientist, kidopreneur. I don't know if I have the liberty to call him a kidopreneur anymore, but yes, one of the leading scientists of India, and Rifath Shaarook, and I'll be giving a more vivid and detailed, introduction to Rifath. But let me begin by saying that 2 years back today was the Kidopreneur Summit, where I engaged young entrepreneurs and scientists, agro-scientists, authors, under the age of 18, and that's when I met this dynamic guy who's sitting just next to me on the other side of the screen, which is Rifath. And before I say any further, Rifath, welcome today, my dear. Exactly 2 years you were there at the Kidopreneur Summit as one of my panelists, and here you are, again in conversation with me. You make me so proud. You make our country so proud. So welcome, my dear, to Sonalis Cubo in conversation with the leading child, I should not say child, but a youth scientist from our country. Welcome, Rifath.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today here. It's really great. It's exactly 2 years after the Kidopreneur Summit with lot of memories. I'm very happy to connect with you today.
And what is ironical, viewers, is that I had requested Rifath to be one of my moderators in the season two, but because of the COVID, we could not go in ahead with the season two of the Kidopreneur. But hopefully, Rifath is always going to be supportive towards the Kidopreneur Summit and would be with me whenever I'm going to be hosting it the next. But to give you a very formal introduction of Rifath Shaarook. Rifath is the Chief Technology Officer and Lead Scientist for Space Kidz India. And more popularly, Rifath and his team has designed the world's lightest satellite called KALAMSAT, which is launched already by NASA. And this is just not there. His breakthroughs just not stop there. Since the 2 years that I have been in touch with Rifath, there's so much that he and his team has been doing, and I want to hear all of that from Rifath because he's going to be explaining all about his love for space. But yes, what an honor to be sitting across the screen with a young scientist, a budding scientist, an inspirational scientist who has given India and the world the lightest satellite, which is already launched by NASA. So thank you so much, Rifath. And to begin today's conversation, if I have to ask you, you are just 21 now. You are just 21 now. So when did this love for space started with you? When did you start and actually believing that space is for me?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, there is a great question. I love to answer that question. So my interest for space started when I was around 5 years old. Not space, totally science. My dad was a scientist, so I basically grown in his laboratory. So at age of 5, I started coding. He gave me a old computer. It was like a toy for me. So in a fun way, I started to coding. That is my first experience with any tech stuff. Then I grew up with this laboratory. My dad is an electronics and communication professor, but he loves space. So every launch, every rocket launch, we used to watch from the TV because back in those days, NASA had this space shuttle, beautiful space shuttle. So we watch all these things. ISRO also do launches. So when I was around 8 years old, I was watching this launch called GSLV D1, which is like launching INSAT 4C satellite. We know that GSLV is one of the biggest thing ISRO started because that is the first time we started developing indigenous cryogenic engines. So we went through a lot of troubles. So in that particular launch, after a few minutes, the rocket just busted into flames.
Okay.
So we lost the whole rocket. So that is the most captured failure of ISRO because all the other launches we at ISRO we didn't have that much of failures, but that is like the like cinematic failure. So I was watching that over TV in live. I was watching along with my dad. I had a toy model of GSLV in my hand. So I was playing with that and watching that on TV. My dad really gave me a lot of hype that today we are going to have a massive launch, like it will be success and everything. So I was expecting that to be launched, but just
Right.
8 years old, what I did is like I started making fun of my dad. That daddy was telling that it is going to be success. Now see all this happen. He really little bit got irritated. Even though I'm a kid, he literally a little bit got irritated, and he was like, okay, then you should go and build your own in the future. Then you will realize how easy it is. So that is the moment I thought like I should take I should start taking space as my career. So that is the first point. But that didn't totally push me into the space thing because I was just 8 years old. So it was just like a dream for me. So the moment I took space as a serious career was later in ninth standard. Those events I will explain you in the upcoming questions. I'll explain.
But that is awesome. So it was more like you were the naughty child, and it's amazing, Rifa, to see you smile also, because I've always seen you as this strict and stern boy who is always so focused, and you teasing your dad that the launch did not take place, and so that was really interesting, and that motivated you. And Rifat, I read when you shared your notes with me that, ma'am, I want space to be accessible
Yeah,
by people, by
yeah.
humans. So if you can share a little more of your journey about how you then started working for Kalamsat, and then how do you intend to make space accessible, because I think it's a huge target that you have in your mind, that you want to make space accessible for humankind. So yes, Rifat, first I want you to share your journey, more into before Kalamsat. How did you actually start it? Then we discuss about Kalamsat, but then, how all did you start training?
Sure, ma'am. So, like, I always had this thought in my mind since my dad was already a scientist. So, I always thought, becoming a scientist will be very easy for me because he is there to guide me. So, I always had that thought in my mind till fifth standard. So, in fifth standard, what happened is like one day my teacher was asking like how you are going to become a scientist. I told that my dad is a scientist, so obviously it will be very easy for me to become a scientist. But life turns just like anything. It becomes crazy that that afternoon my dad passed away. So it was a very sometimes life sounds too dramatic, but we have to accept that. So that afternoon, uh, uh, one side my mind is mourning that my dad is no more, but another side my mind is trying to find the answer for that. If I go to school again, if the question, teacher asks the same question, what I'm going to answer. So that is the moment I thought I should pave my own pathway to my my destination. So I started participating in science competitions. So in seventh standard, in 2009 is my first entry into this technology field officially. So it's more like 11 years, like a decade of journey. May sound very old, but
Of
in
course, at the age
2009,
of 21, if you have a decade-old journey into science and being, thriving to be a scientist, I think it's commendable.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Rifat, please go on.
So I got a couple of district awards. Then I got into state level awards. So all my inventions were related to space. I started designing smaller satellites, even though I realized that getting into space industry is really difficult. I thought I should start at some point because just dreaming and wanting to do something will not make things happen. So I thought I want to start at some point. So I started creating models of the satellite, doing demos, participating in government, central government competitions. So by the time I was in ninth standard, I was in, there is a magazine called Vigadan, that is a Tamil magazine. I become a student journalist. So I thought, becoming a journalist will give me opportunity to meet new people. So that would be, very useful for my career. So I joined as science journalist, and that is where I met Dr. Srimati Kesan.
Yes,
So I think my thought was really correct that time.
yes.
So After that, I joined Space Kidz India, doing all the research stuff. In 11th standard, I got national award, my first national award, and in 12th standard, I got my next presidential award, national award. Both are for designing a nano satellite, nano rover, and designing a radiation protection system for nano satellites. So one side, I was doing all these things, getting awards and everything, but after that presidential award is literally like the highest possible award for high school students. So
True,
after that, there is no competition. You cannot participate in competitions and all this stuff.
true,
So that is the point I started to question myself: is it like all about just winning awards? We need to go and really start doing something real and practical. So that is the moment we started discussing, why don't we start building actual satellites? NASA was doing it because like now it's very easy. Like a lot of universities are also getting started with satellites. But like say like 7 years before, only NASA had opportunity. In here in India, only institutions like IIT had opportunity, and it cost like 2 to 3 crores to build one single satellite. Even today, it costs like 2 crores to launch it. To launch single kg of payload into space, it costs like 1.2 to 1.3 crores. So we thought like it would be very economical. We got into it, and after doing all the research and going through the reality, we understood what reality is. It is a very expensive place to be. So that is the moment we thought, like there is a movie of Steve Jobs' life history. So in that, he makes phone calls to all the investors, and he's like, I came up with personal computer. And they were like, there is no market for this. Investors used to tell that. But he was like, we are not looking for the market. We are going to create a new market. So he
awesome.
literally tells that dialogue. The same applies here also, because IBM was the only company back then building this, huge room-sized, house-sized computers. But Steve Jobs made that personal computer and made computer accessible to everyone. And
True.
the result today, you and me are talking here.
Of course.
Nowadays,
I'm totally indebted to Steve Jobs for that, Rifat.
yeah, I love
Yes,
Steve Jobs, man. So
yes,
he is the one made computer accessible to common man.
right.
When a platform becomes accessible to common man, lot of minds can involve in that. It is not like only top people can do. Lot of people can do,
True.
and that is where the innovation begins. That is where mass production, mass adoption, and everything begins. So that is the same we want to do for satellites. We want to make satellites accessible for common man. We want to make it economical, so many people can get into space industry and do research. So in future, space will become a destination. It will not be an industry. It will become a destination. You want to start a business in space, it will be very usual, like how you're doing it on Earth. It will be very easily possible in space. So that is where we wanted to shrink everything, make the mass size and everything small, so we can make all the things very economical. That is where Kalamsat journey was our first step for that process.
That is awesome. So, when you designed, I mean, if you could just, in a very short, synopsis, tell us about your final breakthrough with Kalamasat, and and your team, and you making India so proud in front of the world. In a very short way, if you could tell us about that.
Yeah. So Kalamsat, we had this idea from a gulab jamun basically. So
Gulab
this was,
jamun.
yeah, ma'am, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, we built a 1 kg satellite initially. Then we realized, it will cost like 1.5 crores. We really became sad that, we can't do that, right? We don't have like one and of crores of budget. So whenever we become sad, or whenever we feel low, we start eating gulab jamuns. We start eating sweets, so you can like feel better. So we were having gulab jamun to to come over that and discussing. So that is the moment we thought, why don't we build a satellite which is small and light as a gulab jamun? So it is about the perspective we see. So we came up with that idea, but by God's grace, next week itself, NASA came up with this competition called Cubes in Space, where you have to build a payload which should fit under 64 grams. So
Oh,
for us now, we had like we were thinking like building a gulab jamun size satellite. The exact launch opportunity is waiting for us. So we participated in that competition. By God's grace, the rest was history. One of the biggest breakthrough is, like building it out of 3D printing material. and making sure that it survives like 16G. Right now we are in the 1G. In the rocket launch, the payload will go through 16G of force, and we have to have all the electronics and everything. All these things should go through all this stuff, and we should have all the data output. And importantly, everything should fit inside a 3.8 centimeter cube under 64 grams. So
Wow.
that was one of the biggest challenge we had.
That is crazy. And yes, viewers, if you want to hear and know more about KALAMSAT and how NASA launched it, you'll find loads of articles and works about it on the internet. But what is more astonishing for Rifath is that he just did not stop there. After KALAMSAT, also he with Space Kidz India, his team, they have done phenomenal work in terms of building and many other phenomenons to ease out everyday life. So do you want to give a small talk on that, Rifat, as to what was the journey after KALAMSAT?
Yeah, man. So after building KALAMSAT, we launched till now we have around like 17 missions totally. So we launched SkySat, that 1 kg satellite was also like we were able to finally pull it off. We launched that from Spaceport America in Texas. Then we launched like around 15 balloon satellites till today with various institutions. We did one launch for government of Rajasthan. So we did a lot of studies using like agricultural studies, like meteorological studies we did with balloon satellites. And then finally our the dream come true moment, like when we launched the satellite with NASA, many people were asking like why you went with NASA instead of ISRO. I just want to make sure that I clear that
Yes,
out,
this is
because
very important for us to know
yeah,
why NASA and not ISRO.
yeah, because it was a NASA competition. Because NASA was the only country in that time to give this kind of opportunities. Like even like under 18-year-old students can participate in competition, and it is not just like drawing essay or something. They will actually fly your payload in the rocket. So
Yeah.
NASA came up with the competition. We participated in that. We won that competition, so NASA gave us the opportunity. But right now, ISRO is also providing similar opportunities. In past 3 years, things have changed dramatically, that ISRO is even providing better opportunities to the students. So
Awesome.
in 2019, ISRO started this student in a supporting program. So we were the first team to get selected by ISRO and put our satellite, not just in suborbit, because NASA provided just suborbital launch to us, but ISRO gave us a full orbital launch. So
Very
in
good.
PSLV C-44, January 24, 2019, we launched KALAMSAT-2, which is still in orbit. Whenever
Wow.
I look at the sky, I'll be like, okay, something we built is,
Awesome. Awesome.
orbiting in the sky. So that
Awesome.
was like a huge breakthrough we ever had. Even PM was tweeting about us. Even like 15 days before, Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman ji was talking about us. So that gave us a huge boost here in Indian space sector itself. Now a lot of missions are planning. Now we are coming up with a new satellite called Vikram Sat. Lot of stuffs are happening.
So tell me one thing, I wanted to ask you, like in between the questions, Rifat, you said that from the last 2 to 3 years, since you connected with NASA, that time the NASA was giving certain opportunities, and now ISRO is sort of lengthened its reach to younger children. Um, what do you feel is adequate amount of support initiated to the aerospace study for children by the government, or is it more the private institutions, or is it like a collaborative effort? Like if you could tell us about that.
Space is always going to be collaborative, ma'am. There cannot be any pure private player anytime soon, because there are a lot of regulations, rules. It is all about security, because rockets are just, big missiles. So there won't be any 100% private player soon. It is more like a collaboration, because the reason why companies like Space Kidz India, or, like nowadays Agnikul Cosmos, a new, rocket manufacturer, without ISRO support and government support, we won't be able to get any raw materials or any parts, because everything is really confidential and highly protected, because the equipments we play with are really like defense grade. If it goes and gets in some wrong hands, it will be really difficult one. So right now, government is taking huge steps to boost the private players in space industry. Even like a month back, Nirmala Sitharaman ji was giving a press release about that. Now they are allowing to even build the private players to build the rockets. So it is going to be a collaborative effort. Even America is doing the same.
Yes, but having said that, I would definitely want to know more about Space Kids India, which is my next question. But before that, if you are saying, Rifat, that space is always a collaborative, work, and because of so much of regulations, we have to involve. It has to be like a statistical involvement and nexus between the private sector and the government. But do you think, okay, fine, the government is giving the space, the technology help, maybe financial help, but what about the children? Is it the initial reach to study aerospace, the initial coding or whatever initial thoughts is required for a common child, maybe who's not coming from a very sophisticated school? How does a private or a government institution plan to enhance that?
That is the huge problem we are facing right now, ma'am. Because you can reach out all this, government partnership, reaching out to the right people. All these things can only become possible after you reaching certain level, a certain extent.
Exactly,
But
yes.
reaching that certain extent for common man is going to take a long time, because for us it took 7 years. We started our organization in 2012 to reach this position. It took us 7 years. So right now there is a huge lack of awareness in space industry, that people are thinking like, to get into space, the only way is just aerospace engineering. But aerospace engineering has nothing to do with satellites alone. Because we need electronics engineers, because electronics engineers are the masterminds behind satellites. We need aerospace engineers for building the structures, building the rocket, and computer science engineering. Without computer science engineering, satellites are just like lifeless bodies. So there is a huge lack of awareness about space industry. That is right now, companies like Space Kids India are, trying to solve that problem with the, more reach to the public, and introducing more knowledge sharing programs.
Yes, because I think as highly populated rural education in India is prevalent. And even if you ask me, in most of the modern age schools, to initiate, the hunger, as you have this literal hunger, to make, aerospace accessible by humankind. As you said, it's just not that you need to understand aerotechnology, you need to understand importance of computer scientists and electronic engineering. All this is important to to actually have a
Yeah,
love for space.
yeah,
So it is so much important to initiate these talks and awareness even in A grade schools, because it's still a very undermined
yeah, yeah.
area to build one's career.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, yeah. Right now, people want cool stuff. People are looking at aerospace industry as a cool thing, like
Right,
flying a rocket or flying a satellite. They think cool. So they are not looking at in-depth knowledge. So what
right,
they want to do is like, work in a satellite for a week or two, because we receive a lot of emails from schools, colleges, students also. They were like, can we build a satellite in a month? Can we build a rocket in like 6 months? No, it will take you years of learning and experience,
true,
and a team, and a proper team, and a
right,
lot of economical budget, because that
right,
is going to play the huge part to
right.
do a mission. So it is not just being cool. You have to have a real passion to get into space industry and do really something good for the mankind. If it is just for being doing cool stuff and getting name out of it, then it won't work for you. So that is a problem. Right now, what I feel is, instead of just consider, just like how space thing is becoming cool, we are also noticing that all this AI, machine learning, all these things are becoming buzzwords. So
Right,
people and students are falling for buzzwords. So
right.
they are getting into workshops, they are getting into short courses, like doing a 3 day thing, 5 day thing. They are understanding the overview. But how can they get into it? For example, we use machine learning for our space industry. Right now, there are a lot of JavaScript developers in our industry, but
Right.
day before yesterday only, we seen a news where SpaceX is using JavaScript and Google Chrome browser to control their aircraft. That
Right,
GUI was completely made with JavaScript. So
right,
even though we have a lot of JavaScript developers and everybody here, they are not realizing their potential. So
right,
all are following towards some buzzwords. So
right.
what I feel is we should have more awareness and more in-depth learning.
Yeah, if you
So
remember, if I had asked you this question, that the usual parent psyche is to put their child into robotics or to put their child into coding, or AI, So, how far, and these are expensive courses,
yeah,
plus you don't know the durability of its usage. Like today, if you're
mhm,
spending your time, energy, money, you want that something is brought comparatively positive out of it. What do you want to tell parents how to pick up the
yeah,
correct, in case you want your child to go towards a technical learning part? Is it AI? Is it coding? Is it robotics? Is it like the programs which you have come up with, which I'm going to be discussing soon? So
yeah,
what would you want to say? Because
yeah.
I think there's no guidance. As you said, they're buzzwords. So coming from you, what do you want to say about that?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, actually, I'm one of the first person in India to actually receive a Arduino board. Arduino is nowadays it's a big hit, like every robotic company is doing. So, but when I was in fifth standard or sixth standard, like 12 years back, I received the first Arduino board. Right now, the robotics, all these things are becoming a hit in India. But before I finished my junior diploma in robotics and electronics 10 years before. I was going like eighth standard. I did it from Taiwan because at that time robotic course was not available in India. It was
Okay.
only available in other countries. So I did from there. But right now, every street we are having robotic classes. Every street we are having electronic classes, IoT stuffs, and everything. The problem is there are a lot of like good robotic classes and electronic classes as well. But at the same time, there are uh, not that good kind of thing. It is about like it is not like robotics. We need to understand what is robotics. Robot is nothing but combining mechanical and electronics.
Right.
So instead of putting your kid directly into some advanced stuff like AI or like advanced stuff like robotics, we are failing to give them the basic knowledge. It is like forcing our kids to learn integral calculus without them understanding algebra and pre-calculus stuff. Because
Right.
just because integral calculus sounds interesting, we want them to learn. They will go, they will learn. But if you ask them to do something more and derive something out of it, they can't do. Because without the right core knowledge, without, if, for example, if you are using some sensor, and for example, there is a light sensor, it will basically what you study, when light falls on that, it will tell whether light is there or not. But if you want to become an innovator who want to build a new kind of light sensor, you have to know what is inside that light sensor first.
Very true.
What chemical component made up of that light sensor. So
True.
that kind of in-depth knowledge is right now missing. But that is what making Taiwan people, because Taiwan peoples are one of the most innovative guys out there,
Right.
US and particularly Germans. So they are having, and Japan. These four countries, the students are having very in-depth learning, slow and in-depth learning, which is making them create new stuffs. So therefore, when they become adults, when they do a lot of wonders, it's like we don't even care about that. This is just a part of our life. But
True.
that is what we are missing in India and in most South Asian countries.
True. So, if I have to ask you, Rifat, Space Kids India, it's coming up with amazing diplomas and courses, and we were discussing about it, and
Yeah.
they were very interesting. I went through the PDFs, and I would want you to share, in a very short way. About Space Kids India and its works and the online materials that you have now designed, and how is it going to be helpful for the
Yeah, ma'am.
children?
Yeah, yeah. Initially, in Space Kids India, we were coming with all our own missions because we ourselves had a lot of dreams and goals to be achieved. So we were always following that, doing missions after missions after mission. But we were always receiving these messages from, we have traveled like more than 20 countries. We have been into Oxford University. We were invited by, Harvard Alumni Club, all the IITs. Wherever we go, we have met more than 2 lakh students. We always face this question, how you guys are able to achieve all this stuff. But we will tell, the usual story I'm telling, like, I did the, but we cannot tell it in a more explained way because there is simply no time out there. So we were following our dreams, but at some moments, like we thought, like we should really go and share our knowledge. We always had that in mind, but we didn't have enough time to share our knowledge. But one moment, what happened is, like, we were looking for new people to join our team. We were looking to expand our team. We were taking interviews. We were looking at the other people, other similar minds and everything. We thought there is a huge gap. Students are not learning in the right way. Students are not getting adequate knowledge. So that is the moment I thought, okay, enough. If I want people to be like me, then I have to go and teach them.
True.
Without sharing my knowledge, expecting them to join my team and perform like me, it is not correct. So that is the moment I thought, okay, we should create a separate education wing under Space Kidz India, and it is our responsibility to teach whatever we have learned in past 1 decade. I told, right, sometimes it may too feel I feel too old. But yeah, so I
It's all
wanted
right. It is just, your intellect, which is uh,
yeah,
wiser. That's about it. But it's a very beautiful thing that you
yeah,
wanted to create more people like you, Rifat,
yeah,
because,
yeah.
yeah. So, yes, please go on.
So we wanted to give them not just a learning curriculum, a learning style where they can learn in the particular way, like in-depth knowledge about, like, I like to know, like, whatever I'm looking at, I'll always want to learn what is inside. Only that in-depth knowledge can get you into places. So that is the moment we came up with this. Right now, we are coming up with a lot of courses, but right now, to get started, right, I already told you, if you want to do something, we should get started at one initial point, then
True.
only we can grow. So initially, we are coming up with a junior diploma program, because our specialty is satellites always. Our specialty is always, space science, everything. But to do space science, to build satellites, we need great minds from electronics and communication, computer science, and mathematical problem solving. Many people, who are asking, like, I'm studying all this, I don't know where I'm going to, apply it. They will find their answers when they get into the space industry. So we thought, okay, we should share this knowledge first. Then only when we start talking advanced topics, they can at least understand what we are talking about. If they don't have that knowledge, then if I directly go and teach them how to build a satellite, then it will sound alienish to them. So right now we are coming up with a 1 year junior diploma program, because we could have come up with, like a 1 week program or 2 week program. But what we did is we separated into 3-month courses. So basically four courses, quarterly courses, combined into one single junior diploma course. So we will be teaching them electronics, computer science, problem solving all together in a 1 year form. So students can more slowly learn. And because why slowly learning is important is, in today's topic they will be learning about something. But if it is a very fast class, like 1 week, they'll be like next.
Yeah.
But they will not have
They will
time
not
to,
be able to get into the depth
yeah,
of, yeah.
self-assessment. They
Yeah.
have to get into them. They have to ask questions to themselves. They have to do research. We
True.
need to give that timing. So that is why it is an elongated course, like 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, and 3 months. So that is what we are coming up with.
So, who all can apply for this? What is the age group that your target is for, Rifat?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah. So we are targeting right from the sixth standard itself, because we have a lot of great minds, from sixth standard, seventh standard itself, they can do a lot of wonders. So we think from sixth standard, we have two age groups inside. So one is sixth standard to 10th standard, and next age group is 11th standard up to UG second year.
Oh,
So for these people, a syllabus will be little bit easier. For these people, we will involve more mathematical formulas, mathematical derivations, and everything. So this is the age group now.
so what kind of children can apply? Are like the ones who are aspiring to take up science, only they can apply? The ones who have to be good at maths? Because usually the psyche is those children who are good in science or physics or chemistry or maths are the ones who can aspire and look into it. So what is a kind of intellect that you think can apply to these courses?
Anyone who want to innovate, like because after 11th standard only we start to get all these groups, right? These economic groups and all those stuff. So
Right.
till 10th standard, whoever want to become a scientist or engineer or a technologist can apply for this. From 11th standard to 12th standard, economics people, their goals and all everything is different. So these physics, chemistry, mathematics, computer science, even biology people can apply, because future is going to be everywhere. These things are going to be there. Future, there is no such thing going to be like I'm a computer engineer, I'll do computer stuff only. I'm a mechanical engineer, I will do. Future is going to be combined. We are coming up with industry 4.0. So everybody can, they need to know the basics. So those people can apply. When you're going to the college level, anybody who is doing engineering or science can apply. Arts and sciences that in arts and science colleges, science stream students can join. Then in engineering, any stream can join. Even mechanical engineering students can join.
So, if I have to ask you for the junior diploma, that is the age group between the 6 standards and the 10th standard, which is the elementary
Yeah,
diplomas that you've come up with, to
yeah.
create that initial stir about the entire phenomenon of understanding these space programs. After completing this diploma course, what can a child aspire or can do or is equipped with?
What is the important thing we want to achieve is, when they are going to dream, it should make sense and it should sound practical. So that is a capability we want the kids to have. So once this course is done, students will have the capability to think more practically, instead of like over imagination. Whenever they are imagining, they will start thinking more like a proper scientist and engineer, and they will have this capability to choose what they want to study. Because at the young age itself, going through these courses will make them, the future, next UG, next PG and all, they can become more streamlined. And these technical courses will give them a capability to almost like building any engineering stuff. But not only that, we are having huge plans behind Skylabs, because Skylabs is not just going to be a single year junior diploma program. We are coming up with advanced programs like building satellites, building rockets, ground systems, and everything. So in the upcoming years, those students will be able to go through this. So this will be the next part. So after finishing this, they will be having the own capability to be part of a team which builds satellites, which build advanced, not just satellites, even other advanced IoT stuff, machine learning stuff. They will be having that capability. And out of the Skylabs, we will be having assessments, and we are also going to select the best minds out of it to join Space Kids India. So those people will also get a chance to work with our team in future.
So, firstly, before joining Space Kids India, but going through this numerous programs under Space Kids India, or to identify as to which stream to take up in. As you said that it's Industry 4.0, and everything is, it's like a mindset can be used here and there. So. Is Space Kids India also planning to, or is already counseling children, because it's important to actually make children understand
Yeah.
certain courses which is offered by Space Kids India, maybe some are not, which are probably running somewhere else, but maybe after completing that they have a opportunity to apply for a Kids India and be chosen. And as you said yourself, that the awareness, whether it is in the low age schools or even in A-rated schools, the awareness about such programs is very less, even like from, let's say, middle school or secondary school. So which does not let even the interest or the option come in front of children. So don't you think it's going to be a very a very valuable, or is it already initiated, where some counseling or some awareness programs are directly initiated? Or if somebody approaches Space Kidz India, there can be like a counseling body which is telling them about how to reach in future Space Kidz India, about after taking a stream of courses or exams, etc., whatever it is. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, ma'am. Right now we have already collaborated with couple of schools, and we are also working with couple of NGOs. We have trained like we have already given counseling to more than 50,000 students all over India. And right now, due to this pandemic happening, we are not able to, reach our kids in physical. We are continuing it online. We have been, giving numerous amount of webinars, even like we are going to deliver a webinar about like how to build nano satellites. It is going to be a initial how to say counseling, like you said, it is going to be initial counseling kind of workshop, so they will understand what it takes to be here. So then we will be giving them introduction about Skylabs. So when they are joining Skylabs, they will be having the understanding of what they are going to learn. So I will share the details also with you, because today only we came up with those plans. And also they can reach us to reach out to us via our Facebook page, and they
Yeah.
can reach out us even if they go to our Skylab's website. The right below the website itself, we have the messaging icon. So from there they can talk to us. But also in the future, once they join Skylabs, one of the exclusive things that will be available to the Skylabs members will be the ability to talk to us. I'm not just saying that like we are kind of busy or something, but we are we need to build more stuffs, right? We need to make India proud again and again. So we are running behind a lot of work. So it will be difficult for us to answer all the queries coming on Facebook or in emails. So that is also one of the reasons why we created Skylabs. So in addition to the all the technical stuff they are learning, students will also get the access to forum. So via that forum, they can talk to us, all our teammates in Space Kidz India, and from there we will be counseling. And the schools, schools and colleges who are going to partner with Skylabs program, what we are planning is a monthly webinars exclusive to those people, so we can give them the counseling, because that would be the most important one. Because at the end of the day, if you learn everything and don't know from in which direction I should go, then that would be a problem.
Sure.
So we are coming up with those plans also.
So that is very interesting, viewers, because then if there are children who are aspiring to, as Rifath is trying to make, space reachable and accessible by the ones, because as he himself is saying that it's the generation of the industry going to another level. It's like the entrepreneurship which is prevalent in on Earth, maybe just taken up there up in space. You never know. So yes, for that we need to build a Gen X which is capable of understanding these processes. And Space Kidz India is doing a phenomenal work. You can reach out to them on internet, on their Facebook page, or on their website, and I'm sure they'll be able to access, and also you would be able to know about their upcoming diploma courses, etc. And especially the forums which Rifath just spoke to about is going to be very, very engaging. So yes, I think it's a commendable job that Space Kidz India has initiated. And Rifath, you have been phenomenal in taking Space Kidz to another level along with your mentors at Space Kidz India. But I really want to ask you this, that Earth is like so huge for people like us. We've not walked it enough, and here you are racing into space. So as a scientist, as you said that it's not that being a scientist is just limited to creating a module of a satellite or a rocket. It's thinking beyond the chords. It's like trying to make life easier. At the end of the day, we want to make our life easier. That's why all the satellites and rockets are there, to know about the climate, to know about agriculture, to know about aliens, so many other stuff, different planets. So do you think are the concerns that you feel as a scientist, which is important to address?
Oh, yeah, ma'am. The right now some problems, like the one of the important problem from I will talk from the young scientist perspective, like from the young innovators perspective. The students, who are into all this science stuff, who want to build satellites. I'm planning to do a survey actually, because these people really go through a lot of depression. Because even myself, I went through depression. I dropped out of 12th standard for 1 year. Then I came back, because, but a lot of people are not having the chance, because when you are too much into science and when you are always thinking about that, you will become part of bullying. Because I was part of getting bullied in the school. Nobody wants to talk to you. You will be always alone. But so we want to overcome these issues by creating a community where innovators and innovators can go together. Those people, you know they like to hang together. So we want to create such community where young innovators can get out of this depression, bullying, and all those stuff. As you become older and older, the main problem is doing the research itself. Because if you are like part of some bigger institutions, like IIT or something, you'll be having a lot of opportunities. But the moment the private research sector in India is right now just now getting started. So the funding is a huge issue, the sponsorship is a huge issue. Even for right now, after COVID only, we have started even looking at biologists,
True,
because we always used to ignore them.
true,
But right now only we are understanding the importance of scientists, I would say.
true.
So the budget we are spending for research, people are ready to they are ready to sponsor a sports event, or sponsor some some fun event or something. But to get a sponsor or to get funding for a science event or some science research is very, very hard. That too, particularly in India. But if you take America or Europe, Red Bull is sponsoring rockets. Red Bull is sponsoring rockets. They are doing real space science. But here, that kind of things are very, very like it's really hard. Like a food app can get funding. Okay, let's even leave like sponsorship. Let's talk about funding. Like giving your stake in your company to get the funding. That thing itself is really hard here. Like as a business also, people are like to invest in food apps or e-commerce and all those stuff. But when you go and project like a rocket or a space capsule, where you say that future humans can go to space and come back with a rocket, people start to think that you're too ambitious or you're over futuristic. So they are not having that confidence to invest in that. So these are some of the major problems as a research, because at the end of the day, research is not about just doing research, writing papers, putting it journals, and putting all those titles behind my name and getting my name out of it. It is all about creating practical stuff. It is all about delivering, because result always matters. So in that thing, we have to really overcome these problems. And when that happens, the future of India will be more vibrant.
I'm very happy that you've actually brought these upfront, Rifat, because these are actually very genuine problems, which are ironically so prevalent. Whether it is funding or basically making people believe that it's important to especially the corporate sector, to understand that how important it is to look into this part of the community. And you are so true that it is very uh, great of you, and actually a very wise decision, that, as you say, a community needs to be built about innovators and entrepreneurs to help them through a mental psyche also, because that is also one of the concerns of being a scientist. And I think all that you pointed out, Rifat, I'm sure a lot of people listening to you, or the ones who will listen to us later, would actually identify, and they would know where to reach out, which is Space Kidz India, and to Rifath, Shaarook. And I would actually like to leave today's conversation with this very beautiful note. We are talking about rockets and we're talking about satellites. And I have always imagined space as something which is high up. And as you said, that you will be seeing KALAMSAT 2 from down below, that it is in the orbit. I would just imagine that how Earth would be so beautiful when it is, seen and perceived from space. And I think that the way it is, that Earth would look like nothing more than a tiny, tiny dot from there above. And that dot, that's our home, and that's us, and everyone we love, and everyone we know, and everyone we heard of, every human being which whoever lived is on this earth, the aggregate of our joy and our suffering, thousands of confident religions and ideologies and economic doctrines, to the hunters and the foragers and the heroes and the cowards, to the corrupt politicians, to the entrepreneurs, to the superstars, to the supreme leaders, to every saint and sinner is there who has been in history, has been on this earth. And every species that we can think of, from the remote dust, has been on this earth. And that is the beauty of earth. And we human beings should try and take the spirit of being human, of belonging to this earth, into space. And that's where Rifath, amazing human beings like you come in. And I just want to add one thing. When you talked about bullying and you talked about being sort of sidelined, I think, as you know, that's in every community, that's in every stream. But if I have to talk about particularly to the cosmic, space where we are in, I just want to say that every one of us in this cosmic space is very precious. And if a human disagrees with you, it's okay. Let that person live, let that person be, because in 100 billion galaxies, you will find another one who would believe in you. So it's perfectly fine. And I think, Rifath, I would want more and more people to reach out to Space Kidz India, reach out to you. And yes, friends, please, you can, look up Space Kidz India. They are there on Facebook, and they have an awesome website. And the diploma programs that Rifath himself has spoken to me about looks fantastic and very reasonably priced and very beautifully laid out to be catered on an online platform, because that is a need of today. And as Rifath says, whether it is coding, whether it is AI, whether it is robotics, this particular program will enhance the detailed knowledge into computers or mathematics, and children from 6th grade to second year college can be a part of it in two different parts and age groups. So yes, Rifath, I wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors. Make us proud further, and I'm sure you would always be there, creating something new, creating something different. And anytime that you need any assistance from me, wherein I can be a part to be a help of the community, kindly reach out to me. And thank you very much for being in conversation.
Thank you so much. It was really great. We will see you in the next Kidopreneur Summit.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. See you. Thank you, guys. Bye. See you.